I am at ATPColor today with Roberto Martellono, the managing director of the company. Thanks again, Roberto, for having me.
Welcome back.
Roberto, we already talked about yourself, about your company, and about technology, about sublimation in general. So let's enter a little bit in your own technology, in the way you build technology. At ATPColor, you specialize in a particular type of engineering, which is printing combined with heat fixation, with sublimation. When and why did you decide to enter this particular segment?
Well, this is a segment that we stepped in 2008, 2009, and the technology we selected was the inline fixation using a calendar, like a traditional one, because we are convinced that this is the best solution for getting the more reliable color fixation. In the sublimation market, you need three factors to make a good fixation. One is the temperature, of course, good control of the temperature. The other one is the time of the contact, time of the heating. And the third one is the pressure of the media against the heated surface. There is only one technology that can offer these 3 points, and this is the calendar. No wonder why the major calendar products manufacturers are using this technology. Other ways of making it, you are always missing one of these 3 major key points.
Today, in fact, there is a heat debate between the fans, let me call it like this, of heat calendar, of external heat calendars, the ones I call the purists of sublimation, and those who prefer inline fixation. And why you remain convinced that inline fixation is the best option?
Well, it is the easiest to use, and I think that now we have a quality of the product that is as good as sublimation. We improve a lot in the last 10 years, our technology. So now I cannot see any reason why you shouldn't use direct fixation in the sublimation process.
Do you think there are some particular applications in which an external heat calendars can give you an advantage, or can allow you to create products that simply cannot be done, cannot be produced using direct to fabric?
Absolutely, yes. All the market of the sportswear, I will advise not to make it with a direct fixation. All the market or a 4-way elastic product for making the table coverings very flexible. There is also one reason that is quite subtle but is interesting. Printing direct on the fabric, on the media, force you to create dedicated profile for each media. So if a customer is changing 20 media a day, say 20 new media, probably making the traditional or the purist process is something that I can advise, because with a couple of profiles we can get a good product. Nevertheless, this is the reason why we are a direct fixation printer and paper transfer printer as well.
Energy consumption is another hot topic, you know, which is becoming even hotter when for those printing companies who have to deal with energy-intensive processes like sublimation, for example, or curing or drying in general. How do you deal with this technical issue and economic issue, of course?
Well, this is a very important issue. Some customers realize it, some customers realize it after they bought the printer, but it's a reality. Printing with a water-based ink forces you to get rid of the water to make the final product. And to get rid of the water, you need heating. So it is an energy consumption process. Cannot be any different. What we invested a lot is to find out a way to make this energy consumption as little as possible. That's why recently we asked for a testing by FOGRA, our biggest printer, the 5 meter, and what came out is that our energy using is very, very little compared to the big technology that we are using.
What's the practical advantage for an end user, for a customer, in I don't know, getting this certification, this piece of paper coming from?
Well, before it was only us saying something, and now we can say something with a certificate that is not just dream but reality. And as a matter of fact, we are the first company making a textile printer, a sublimation textile printer that got this certificate from FOGRA.
To what extent do you expect to further improve this energy performance?
Well, I think that we still have a possibility of to improve it, and we are working hard to make it a reality.
How should a customer calculate the return on the investment of a sublimation printer compared, for example, to a UV printer, a latex printer, a eco-solvent model?
Well, probably it's slightly more difficult because in every calculation of the return of the investment, you have to consider your margin. And the dye sub technology gives you the potential to make products that have much less competition compared to the printing on the UV market. So it is mostly in your attitude, in the customer attitude, to find out the product with the highest possible margin. Then some customers are very happy to make a production, so they are fine with low margin with a big quantities.
Can you make some examples of some real examples of companies that have a better return on the investment, and other companies that gain less money from the same printer, of course, without telling the names? I don't want
we have companies that are making customers that are making very little margin printing on diaper. So it's very disposable product, and as it's easy to understand, you have no margin. Or companies that are making terry towels, where the margin are completely on a different level compared to all the other technologies. So in the middle of these two, for example, easy product, there is a lot of possibility.
Water-based printing in general and sublimation on polyester is an example, is considered by many a more sustainable way to produce, more sustainable than other printing processes and than other ink chemistries. To what extent is that true? And what are the crucial factors for real sustainability?
Well, for sure, it is true that there is water-based ink, so it's not UV or solvent, so it's more ecological compared to the others. Of course, the polyester has the possibility to be recycled, and if it is not recycled, if it is disposed by burning, it will not make any harmful chemicals. So these are well-known points. But the biggest point to consider it is the potential of the reusing of the printouts made with the sublimation technology. So for light boxes, you have an aluminum frame where you simply change the image and then you can reuse it very easily. So this not considered point of the ecological are very important. There is another one that still needs to be developed. It is the recycle of the printed media. This is not yet very popular, but I think that will come out in the future.
Nowadays, your product range includes models that span from 1.9 through up to 5 meters printing width, both in the direct-to-fabric and printing on dye sublimation transfer paper. Okay, what are the most promising segments, the most popular ones, and in which parts of the world?
Well, the world is very differentiated. We have the 5 meters that are doing very well in the US, for example, because they give you the possibility of making bigger printouts without the need of sewing them. And there are also some markets in Europe where the sublimation on polyester as for fashion was not used before, but now are very popular. And then there is all the soft signage market that make the printers in the 3.2 meter very common.
What do you think makes your products unique?
Well, I think that we have a perfect combination of quality, price, speed, knowledge, competence. So I think that is just a matter of testing, of let us to print the customer files and to show how good we are.
Let's look beyond printing for a moment. What are the technical challenges that printing companies, display graphics companies that use sublimation face when they start printing on fabric, on polyester fabric, and to what extent you as ATPColor are committed to help them, to support them with these issues?
Well, the most common issue, it is the change of the dimension of the media. On the sublimation, you have a polyester that you are heating up to 200 degrees, 180. So it's quite close to the melting point, so the physical dimension of the media changes. This is something where the customer are getting a bit missed, but most of the time they already have the solution inside the rip that they are using. So it's easy to make a dimension changing directly on the rip. So you print a square of 1 meter by 1 meter, you measure again, and if you keep the same all the other points of the media, the speed of printing, you will get a perfect product. So it is a matter of teaching the customer how to do the job.
Okay, you mean that due to the dimensional change of fabric, what is the size that is defined in the rip can result in a different size when you come into the printer, and in even a different size when you get into the calendar, and in another different size that has to be compensated when you get to the cutting machine.
Absolutely, yes. This is something that the customer realizes. It is much better to advise them of it and to work them to reduce this at the minimum.
What about the sewing of fabrics? It's another aspect, it's another part of the workflow which is completely new for many existing display graphics customers who were more used to have a different way to cut or to combine the materials.
Yeah. And the sewing is one of the points that the customer needs to source help outside of build internally know-how, because it is a process that you need some specific competence on doing that. There's no other way.
Okay, and getting back to cutting, there is an existing conversation about the best way to cut polyester fabrics. Can be with a traditional digital cutting machine with a dedicated tool, a dedicated knife, or even laser. Okay, looking at your customers worldwide, how do they deal with this?
I think that most of them are using traditional cutter. They are quite intrepid and interested in the laser. There are some new cutter from Suma, I think, that they read the dimension of the media, so they automatically adjust in the way of cutting. So also the companies making cutting machine are very interested about this market.
Let's talk about fabric in general, not just a polyester fabric, not just sublimation. Do you think that today a display graphics company which is already experienced in a dye sublimation could aspire in entering new fields in printing on different fibers, such as cotton, such as wool or silk?
Well, this is, I think, a must-go direction. Again, they give you the possibility of a higher margin. There is one technology that is the pigmented inks for textile that is quite promising. And so I say definitely yes, they should look into these strange and different possibilities.
Is it an opportunity which is ready in your opinion?
I think that it is not yet completely ready. There are still some difficulties and many companies are working on. It's not impossible. I would say that there is a company, Cornit, that they did a very good product and very accepted in the market, and so they already did the job. The others are working on.
In fact, is it more, at the moment, is it more in the direct-to-garment area? It's more in like the T-shirts production, but there are also roll-to-rolls machines to print on wider sizes.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Okay, and are you planning to enter this market as well?
Yes, because it's very attractive and we have the benefit to have, again, the inline calendar, so we can make the fixation inline. So it will be a perfectly fit for the pigmented solution. I will say that we'll present it in the FESPA in Berlin next year.
Thanks, Roberto, for your time, for sharing part of your knowledge.
It is a pleasure. Thank you.